Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Blue Collar Sports Talk here in the bedroom studio in Nebraska. I'm Darrell. I've got James with me.
Yep.
And I've got Roger alongside.
Good morning.
We're going to start off with a little volleyball today. We got a Thursday night match. The volleyball team's on the road. We're staying in the state of Michigan, but tonight it's against Michigan State, 7 p.m. Big Ten Network. Second time we've played the Spartans this year in as much as I want to say like 17 days or something. We beat them pretty handily, but they've had chance to take a look at what we do. And then Saturday we play number 24 Michigan. You can listen to that game through Huskers.com or a local radio or the Huskers app. And then Thursday's Michigan State game is against Michigan State, and that is on the Big Ten Network at 7 p.m. We're now going to move into college football. Roger, what did you think about Nebraska's game against Indiana last week?
Well, our defense played a lot better. Indiana come in averaging 450 yards a game, and we kind of thought that they would do the same against us. They didn't. We held them under 300 yards. Played very well defensively.
Made tackles. It was almost night and day how many solo tackles we had from this past weekend to all the weeks added up, tied together.
Yeah.
Yes.
We play on Friday. Somehow the schedule got, I'm not sure, a Friday game that isn't after the normally Thanksgiving. But we're playing Rutgers. We're favored by 3 on the road, 6 p.m. game. Rutgers is coming off of just a beatdown by Ohio State.
Where the coaches got mad because he said, "You're running up the score."
Yeah. Well, in this day and age, you have to with the playoff system.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
But the other team doesn't have to like it. But
Right.
Does our defense continue tackling? Mickey Joseph took the black shirts away. I don't think he's giving them back.
To me, they had 2 weeks to prepare for Indiana. So I expected to at least see something different. We did. We got a win. Now you have 1 week to prepare. Shorter week because you have to travel. They are 5-0 lifetime against Rutgers, but I like to think positive, of course. Yeah, I think Nebraska goes in there, builds off of whatever, the momentum of beating Indiana. Hopefully doesn't get the big head syndrome yet. And the defense of either offense, defense, that defense definitely needs some momentum to start building on.
Yeah. And the thing I was kind of most impressed about was in the fourth quarter, the way we controlled the ball. I'm very impressed with that Anthony Grant. He's a great running back. He carried the ball 12 times in the fourth quarter.
And always
the ball control in the fourth quarter was very well.
That was
We had a 12 play, 6-minute drive. Anthony Grant carried the ball 7 times, got 3 first downs, scored a touchdown, went up 14 points, and then we never let Indiana, of course, get the quick score and get the onside, try to tie it up. I mean, we played very well in the fourth quarter.
To me, that was the biggest change. The Scott Frost era was controlling the time clock, because Scott's offense kind of reminded me of what like Mike Leach has done in the past. You have a 2-score lead, and you're still doing the run and gun with hurry-up offense. You're not burning any clock, and that allows them to get a turnover. Sorry, I'm going on a long tangent here. That was the biggest change for me.
100%.
Even though Scott says he doesn't have control of the plays anymore, yes, he did. You could tell it. And it's completely changed, and I think it's all in Whipple's hands now.
Perfect example is the Georgia Southern game. If he slows that drive down, that they go all the way down, take the go-ahead score, and only leave them with a minute and a half on the clock instead of 3 minutes or whatever it was, they were snapping the ball at 15, 20 seconds on the play clock, knowing they hadn't stopped Georgia Southern all day. So, yes. And then the Indiana game, they're like, hey, let's run this clock down. They were doing that. They were running the play clock all the way inside 10 seconds, snapping the ball, and like you said, running it forward, 3 yards, 4 yards. Even if it's a 2-3 yard gain, that clock is moving.
I agree. Yeah. That's a big deal.
Yeah. When I saw this, I was kind of floored. But I mean, it don't surprise me, but that was one day from 364 days since the last time we beat an FBS school.
That's ridiculous.
Almost the entire year. We were on a 9-game losing streak against FBS teams.
7 at home.
Yeah.
And
the other thing that I heard was we won that game, and now we're 9-3 in Big Ten home openers. And so I'm like, well, them are the only wins we got there because that's I mean, well, what are we, like 12-31? 9 of them come on home openers, and then that's all we win.
Right. But you also heard we are in tie for first place in the West.
Yes. Minnesota, Northwestern, Iowa, all lose. Now, 2 weeks ago, or a week ago on this show, I said if we were halfway decent, we could win the West. I don't even think we have to be halfway decent to win the West.
Well, this is what happens when you split a conference.
Yeah.
If there was no split, we'd be in the bottom.
Right.
And we wouldn't be talking about, we could win the West. You guys, come on. I'm going to move us along because we could talk about this for days and days and days. Michigan is taking on Indiana. I want to see what Indiana can do against a really tough team at home. That's an 11 o'clock game. Michigan's favored by 22.5. I think they get every bit of that.
Oh, I agree. Even on the road, Michigan's strong.
Yeah. We're just going to breeze through the college games that we like because we really want to focus today on Major League Baseball playoffs that are going to come up. But getting back to baseball, the majority of the games that I have written down that James wanted to look at, that Roger wanted to look at, 4 of them are 11 a.m. games. So there's a lot of great games early. Tennessee's number 8, LSU's 25. At LSU, Tennessee favored by 3.
Right, that game, man, I would not bet that game. LSU looks really strong, and then they don't. Their defense isn't the typical LSU defense that we're used to seeing, and Tennessee's offense moves really well. But you are playing in LSU or at Tiger Stadium, so I got to give LSU a nudge if I had to.
I agree. I would take LSU at home in this game. Tennessee's like James says, they're moving the ball. I think LSU slows them down some, and I would take the points and take LSU at home.
What are the overs on that one?
I can't imagine them being more than, let's see here.
I'm surprised that LSU is ranked. I mean,
65.
65 is
That's
the
high.
overs. Well, they can both put up points. I mean, LSU has had a lot of change. You've changed coaches. And you're ranked again. I think that's amazing because Nebraska hasn't been ranked for so long, and we've changed coaches so many times. Another 11 o'clock game, Arkansas at Mississippi State. Mississippi State's favored by 9.5. I was really surprised by the 9.5. I thought that'd be closer, but Arkansas's laid a couple eggs here lately. They played tough, but then I don't know.
I like this game mainly. It's obviously Arkansas on the road, but after coming off that tough win against Alabama, they, like I said, they played tough, and then some kind of fallout at the end there. But I don't know. I could see an upset here. I could see Arkansas taking out Mississippi State. I thought they'd hang close with Alabama. Obviously, I missed that one last week because I said they would cover, and I think I just missed it. But
yeah, Arkansas's lost the last 2 games. It's hard to say whether they are going to fold and let Mississippi State beat them, or if they're going to come back. I think Arkansas's just as good as a team. I was surprised by the 9.5. So I would take Arkansas in this game.
I agree with you, Roger. I would take Arkansas as well. 9.5 is kind of a surprise to me.
The over-under is 59 in this game. I think it goes well over 59.
So no defense, which is kind of the... I don't even like it when people say there's no defense. Their offenses are so good, the defenses have a tough time.
Yeah, there's so much speed on offense these days.
Yeah.
Moving on to the Kansas TCU game, I think that one's going to go over the overs as well. TCU, 11 o'clock game at TCU. Kansas is on a roll. People say this came out of nowhere, but they have a talented group. They have a good coach.
And
What do
that
you think, Roger?
I think the game will stay under the 59, if that's the
68.
68. I think
Yeah.
it'll stay under the 68, and if it stays under, I like KU's chances of covering. But if it turns into a high scoring game, I think TCU will pull away. But I like the unders and K-State in this game.
And because of K-State, Kansas is a high start here. Their coach is on the warm seat. Not being fired, but everyone wants him now. Oh, you can do that at Kansas? Well, we want you.
Yes.
So he's getting interest from obviously numerous teams that have just lost their coach, and especially in the Big Ten. So we might see this guy in the Big Ten very soon.
I think this is a huge game. Number 17 TCU on a crazy roll. 4-0. Kansas 5-0, ranked 19. You tell me the last time Kansas was ranked in the top 20.
My.
Mangino was the last time.
That makes sense.
James sent me a text this week that kind of blew me away because I hadn't even looked into it. And this is Vegas looking at an upset at home for Notre Dame. Notre Dame is favored at home, which makes sense. And they play really well at home. But BYU is number 16. This is a 6:30 Saturday game. How does Notre Dame get it done? They're favored by 3.5.
They don't. BYU wins this game.
Right. I was so surprised. I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, you give a home team a nod, especially in college. You got the crowd, the noise, the familiarity, all that, and it's Notre Dame at home protecting the gold, which they didn't do to start the season to begin with a game they should have won. And, yeah, I agree. I don't think Notre Dame gets it done.
I think the game stays under. I think a low-scoring game. BYU wins.
BYU wins. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't see Notre Dame getting it done. If they do, I'm completely shocked.
I mean, do they even have a real quarterback yet? Defensively, they're pretty sound. I can't say they're great. They're sound. But you don't talk about punting the ball. Their kicker's got to be in heaven. He's on TV all the time.
Fine. The Notre Dame quarterback is 44 and 63, 459 yards passing, 6 TDs, and 1 interception.
So 4 games, he's 459 yards.
Yeah, they're 2-2. Notre Dame's 2-2. I get it. Notre Dame at home. Overs and unders are 51. But I stick with you guys. BYU gets it done.
Yeah, it's low scoring. 21-17.
Yeah, and okay, overs and unders are set at 51, 21-17. They don't come close. So Roger says take the unders, and we all three say take BYU. Moving on to an evening game, number 11 Utah, number 18 UCLA. Sorry, not an evening game. Going back to the afternoon. That's a 2:30 game on the West Coast at UCLA. Utah's favored by 3.5. When you get to the 11s and the 18s, 4 or 5 games into the season, I'm going to say that's probably a pretty good ranking, probably pretty fair. I think this is going to be another brawl to the end. Who has the ball last?
UCLA covers easily, or take the points in UCLA. Easy.
Yeah, I haven't watched a whole lot of UCLA, but of course they're on the West Coast. So I get off of work, I get home, I turn it on. I mean, they're playing, and boy, they look good. I mean, they do. They move the ball.
So last week, Washington, UCLA, we talked, and obviously we took Washington coming off a strong game prior to that, blah, blah, blah. And I watched, I'd say, good half of that game. And man, I don't know if it's because it was Washington and there's a little history, whatever, but UCLA flying around the field. Offensively, they looked like a juggernaut. And Washington has a really above average defense. And they got me, I'm drunk on the juice right now because I've gotten them winning again this week.
Yeah, I agree. I like UCLA. From what I've seen, I like UCLA.
We have the former Big 8, now Big 12 matchup. Number 20, K-State. Favored by 2 on the road in Ames at Iowa State, and that's a 6:30 game. James, what do you think about that one?
I want to get all these people that are jumping on this Martinez bandwagon to kind of back off a little bit. Oh my gosh, he's winning. So we just talked about how that Notre Dame quarterback, 4 games, has 450 yards passing. In 5 games, Adrian has 650 yards passing. That's it. He did that in 3 games or less at Nebraska. So it's not his arm. It's their really, really good defense and their rushing attack and O-line. He's running the ball 20 times a game. We asked him to do that here, and we couldn't even get him to roll out of the pocket and throw it away. So
that's because they changed. They changed his mindset. The first year they allowed him. The second year they say you don't run, you pass it.
With the Colorado ankle thing, yeah,
made him worse.
Need a hang. Yes, they took away his game is running the ball, occasionally chucking it around the field. And K-State coach is like, let's do that again. So yes, it's not his arm winning games. So he can't throw picks. He can't make your team 3rd and 12 because he ran the ball. And that's where I think Scott and company messed up with Adrian was you took away his game, was running the ball and occasionally throwing it so you're not 3rd and 12. But yeah, so this game I have K-State picked. Iowa State has not played well lately. Another coach rumor with him being replacement for other teams. I said he's got a quarterback from what I've seen, but their offense doesn't really have an identity right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Iowa State's coach I haven't heard any rumors since they've lost a couple about being potentially looked at for Nebraska hire head coach. And it's weird. You never know because anymore they lie about, well, I'm not even looking at it. Well, I'm not going to take it. And then they take it. But looking at this game specifically, not even thinking about the links to Nebraska, even though they have last year's Nebraska quarterback at K-State, their running back, Vaughn, is a beast.
Heisman.
638 yards in 5 games. I mean, that's...
Yes, he's getting looked at as being potentially the best running back in the nation, getting national attention. And yeah, he's good, but yeah, and K-State's played very well the last 2 games. Martinez has been running the ball just as, I mean, he might have more yards on the ground than Deuce Vaughn has the last couple of games. He's moved the ball a lot. I was just going to go back to Nebraska and say that Grant has 600 yards rushing. He's 33 yards behind Deuce Vaughn. I mean, yeah, yeah.
And he doesn't get looked at because he's on Nebraska.
Yeah,
and
that's
not winning.
what I was going to say, yeah.
Yep. But, hey, say they come back, not to get away from this game, but Nebraska makes a push for that West and starts winning these games that, you got 2 night games in a row. Got a night game tomorrow. Next week, Purdue's a night game. TV time. He can get himself on the map, getting a couple 150, 170-yard games.
Yeah. In 5 games, Martinez has ran 469 yards, averaged 6.5 yards a carry, 9 touchdowns. Passing, 0 interceptions through 5 games.
How many attempts?
Great question. How many do you think?
I'm going to say less than 30.
119 attempts, 74 completions, 62% completion rate, passed 654 yards, 5.5 yards average per catch or toss, however you want to look at it, 3 touchdowns. And his rating's 116. He had better ratings at Nebraska, but I mean, it's an early season.
119, that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. K-State's moved the ball very well the last 2 games. I don't know if they keep it going or not. Iowa State's a good team.
Iowa State is a great team. They played some tough people.
I'll take Iowa State in this game.
Roger takes Iowa State.
At home.
I'm right there with you. I think this is potentially a loss for Kansas State. Kansas State's only favored by 2, so it's kind of a gimme, as far as what happens here. But I don't know. What do you think, James? What happens?
I like K-State, but if Iowa State comes back and wins this game, the narrative is flipped. It's, K-State got lucky a couple games, or they're decent but not great. Iowa State hiccups, but they right the ship. But in that conference right now, the talk's got to be Kansas and TCU.
And Kansas was Iowa State's last loss, 14-11 score. Great defensive game, great defensive battle. And it was at Kansas, so Iowa State was on the road and put up a heck of a fight.
Yep.
They even put up a heck of a fight against number 17 Baylor. They put up 24 points versus Baylor. That was at home, but they did lose 31-24. I think Kansas is a great team. Or Kansas State's a great team. Iowa State's a great team. I'm going with Iowa State on this one, and I'm going to take the unders. The overs are set at 45. I think they continue on with a tough defensive battle.
I also forgot that on the Big 12, Oklahoma State's also undefeated there. So, and we didn't have this game on our script mainly because we don't like them. But the Red River rivalry is also tomorrow at 11 a.m. I'm sorry, Saturday at 11 a.m. I'm taking Texas just because OU really looks bad. Very, very bad. Texas is moving up. They supposedly might have Ewers back. And if they do, that would be amazing because I'd like to see what that kid's got. Might be a long shot at the Heisman since he's missed games from the injury. But, man, what I saw from him against Alabama, I was very impressed. Not going to lie, very impressed. And I gave him zero little. My cousin is a huge my nephew is a huge Texas fan. And I was like, dude, whatever.
Yeah.
But you watch that guy throw?
Yeah, it's amazing that's like the 6th game we're talking about. Red River rivalry. That's like one of the biggest games every year. And nobody's talking about it.
It could be time for OU to turn it around. I don't think it happens again. They've lost so many people. They lost Riley out to the West Coast. They lost their quarterback out to the West Coast. Blah, blah, blah. Transfer portal. The one team that's won the transfer portal as far as all their players going out and getting some great ones in, Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State. Those are some really good teams that have done some great stuff with transfer portal. LSU won a national championship with Burrow. People complain about the transfer portal and also love it. That's life. You love it and you hate it.
And what do we hear this offseason? I know we're going long on the college side. Is Nebraska had all these guys coming in. Oh my gosh, we're getting this guy. We're getting this guy. Oh my gosh, we're getting a top 5 transfer portal, whatever. I'm not seeing it because as defensive guys are not. I'm not seeing it. So, again, that could have been the Scott thing. Now Mickey maybe turns them around, but the transfer portal only works if the guy on the other end that's getting them is putting them where they need to be and getting the best out of them.
I think that's a great. I'm going to touch one more thing on Nebraska. That's the sign of a great coach. You adjust your offense to how your strengths of your players play out on the field. You don't make them change for you. You get them to play at their strengths, and I think that's what's happening there. Now that Scott's gone, Mickey Joseph, Whipple get together and go, this is what he can do great. Focus on that. This is what he can do great. Focus on that. They're not very good at that. Let's not do that anymore.
Yeah, you get the ball in the hands of your best players. Trey Palmer. Trey Palmer now is up for the Biletnikoff Award. I thought that was a little premature. I mean, one good game, and they put him up for that. I mean, he had a good game, but one game ain't enough.
No, one game isn't enough, but I like to hear our kids getting put up for that because they try really hard. James?
So to segue over to the next set, NFL, that's what happened when Cordell Stewart got drafted way back when. They tried to, you can't make him a pro-style throwing quarterback. Take the best. So what came into the league? The Wildcat. We called it the Wildcat, but all it was a quarterback from the college ranks that isn't going to play quarterback, but he can do the read option that's got started going in and all that. But it came from that, was don't build an offense, make him be your offense. Find out what he does great, and these guys coming out of college is now the read option, RPO, whatever. And then you go from there. So when you take these kids and you put them in, and I'm going to say Mitch Trubisky and even Justin Fields right now with the Bears, no, I want you to play this style. And it's not their style. It's not necessarily he's a bad quarterback, just a bad system. Marcus Mariota with Atlanta, he had a couple tries here and there. And now, do you realize has not lost against the spread yet this year? The only quarterback has the best record this year so far against the spread out of all the teams, all the quarterbacks. And Cooper Rush, number 2 behind him.
All right, moving on to the NFL. We're going to start talking about teams that have changed drastically, and that's kind of what we're talking about now, teams that have changed drastically in college with new quarterbacks. Thursday night game, Colts, new quarterback, used to be with the Falcons. Broncos, new quarterback, used to be with the Seahawks. Somehow the Broncos are favored by 3. Russell Wilson hasn't looked that sharp. Broncos are 2-2. Colts are 1-2-1. They tied 1. Who gets it done in Denver? The Broncos or the Colts?
I'll take Broncos and their defense.
I think really funny. I know this game is not very intriguing to anything because when those teams signed those quarterbacks, they got rid of Wentz because we're a quarterback away. This team is a AFC Championship Super Bowl team. We're bringing Matt Ryan, Matty Ice, give him all the tools he needs. 1-2-1, tied with the Texans, by the way. Broncos, we're 1 quarterback away. We have all this stuff. We have a great defense. We have a running game. We're going to give up a lot, bring in Russell, and turn this team around. We're going to push Kansas City for the AFC West.
Nope, I need you to stay right there.
Oh, sorry. Was I leaning in too much?
Keep moving. I'm going to strap you to that fucking chair. I'm just kidding. Just kidding around.
So they want to bring in Russell, 1 quarterback away. Now they're 2-2, and like you said, they can't score. They don't look good. On a side note, Geno Smith's throwing for 350 again with that same offense that Russell couldn't score with. So anyway, long story short, I'm taking the Colts with Matty Ice and their defense. I know Taylor's out, the bad ankle. They also have a linebacker that's going to be out. But I think Matt Ryan with that team can put at least 17, 20 points on the board. And Russell, I think, maxes out at 14, 15 points. So I'm going to take the Colts on the road for the win.
Roger?
Yeah, I said before James talked, I said I'll take the Broncos and their defense. So it's about just the exact opposite. He thinks Colts will win with their defense. I think Broncos will win with their defense.
Having been a Falcons fan, though, do you think Matt Ryan's playing better with the Colts?
No.
No, he looks pretty much the same.
I think Matt Ryan's on the decline.
I
It started a couple years ago with the Falcons.
I think he's on the decline, but that gets down to coaching. I think the coaches are doing what they want, not what is best for the team around his strengths again. I agree. Broncos get it done at home. Let's move on to Rogers Falcons that are 2-2 and the Bucks that are 2-2. Bucks are favored at 9. And I think that might be changing by the time game comes around. I don't think Tom Brady's head is right at the moment. And what I mean by that is it's been everywhere in the media. He got a divorce lawyer. Giselle got a divorce lawyer. How do you focus on a game when you have to worry about, well, who keeps this $1 million asset or who keeps that $1 million asset?
She has a lot more millions.
But you have kids involved too. So then who gets the kids? Who doesn't get the kids? So you're going to get in a knock-down, drag-out fight off the field where he has to then focus about a fight on the field. He's not in the game. Head's not in the game. But do the Falcons have what it takes to beat the Bucs in Tampa?
Tampa Bay got back Godwin, got back Evans. Tom Brady threw for 380 yards last week. I believe it was 380. I think they're too much for the Falcons. Falcons lost Cordell Patterson. Now they brought in, and I'm not even really sure what them running backs' names was for the Falcons now. Algieri and something else. But they're running the ball well. I mean, they are. The Falcons are running the ball very well. but they are going to miss Cordell Patterson. I think Brady with Evans and Godwin back, I think it's going to be too much. I think they win. I think they cover too.
I'm right there with you. I think the Bucs get it done.
I would believe if Atlanta was healthy, 170 yards a game rushing-ish is really, really good. And if you can keep your team on the field and keep Brady on the sideline smashing tablets, that'd be great. But without Cordell Patterson, their leading rusher, it hurts them. I mean, that's a big weapon for Mariota. I'm picking Tampa, but I would love to see Mariota open the book up for him and throw for 300 and really catch Tampa off guard. But yeah, I said does Brady is more focused because of everything going on? It's like, okay, well, I tried to save this and my marriage is over. Screw it, I'm back into football. I don't know. But yeah, he played really well last week. Defense let him down. From what another program I watched, I like what the guy said. Tampa's not going to give up too many more games or they're going to give up 40s, let alone 35 points in a game like they did against Kansas City. So yes, Bucs defense and Brady, but I'm crossing my fingers that Mariota has a 300-yard game.
Brady's an interesting guy. You get him mad, and he either is one of the best quarterbacks out there or he's one of the worst quarterbacks out there because he's so frustrated and mad. So what happens? Is he frustrated and mad at his life situation at home and then comes in and plays 100% better? Or he's excited and mad about life away from football and he comes in and misses some throws, throws some interceptions, and the game doesn't go his way?
Yeah, the Falcons' two running backs are, and I'm not even sure if I'm saying this right, but it's Algieri and Huntley. And they both ran the ball, between the two of them, they ran the ball 20 times for 140 yards. So it seems to me like no matter who they put in there, they're running the ball well.
That's good offensive line.
I don't think
that is a great offensive line.
Yeah.
Cowboys and Rams are the next game we're going to talk about. That's a 3:25 game on Sunday. Rams are favored 5.5 at home. Both of them, I don't know. I'm not sold on either one of them. Goff is gone. You bring in Stafford from the Lions. They're 2-2. Cowboys have lost Dak for maybe another game. They don't know yet. They're talking. They're 3-1 with Cooper Rush. They're on the road against the Rams.
I'm not doing points because I think it'd be close. I mean, not that 5 points is a lot. I'm picking the Rams. It's going to be a tough road test for Cooper. That offensive line has played really well. They're getting nicked up. They're all pro. Zach Martin's got a bum ankle now. I'm not sure if he plays. Peters has come in at left guard and played really well. I don't know. I just see the Rams offense with Stafford finally getting some momentum. And
is Micah Parsons hurt?
No.
Okay, so he left the field, came back and played. I think the Cowboys defense get it done. And on the road, I'm picking the Cowboys.
I watched that game Monday night between the Niners and the Rams, and of course my friend texted me saying, he goes, "Man, I can't believe the Niners are that good." I texted him back and said, the Rams, that was an easy game for the Niners to win. All they did was targeted Cooper Kupp. Now, I know when Cooper Kupp wasn't open, they did throw to that Higbee a lot, but it's Cooper Kupp. The Niners, that was an easy win for the Niners. I mean, the Rams did not play well. I don't think they play much better. I think the Cowboys win that game.
Which is funny is now Stafford, his old team Detroit is where Goff's at, and Goff's playing way better than Stafford right now. He's 1-3, which is unfortunate for Detroit because they're scoring a lot of points. I know it's not a game we're covering, but Detroit's quarterback, I just lost his name. Goff. Good grief. Goff looks really, really good on that team right now, and I hope they get it flipped around down there.
Lions, #1 offense in the league.
Lions, #1 offense in the league.
Yeah. When can you? I mean, since Megatron days, right?
Well, even with Megatron, I don't know if they were ever the #1 scoring offense in the league.
Yeah.
Moving on to an afternoon game, we've got Arizona on the road against Philly, the only unbeaten team left in the NFL right now. Philly is a 5-point favorite against a scrappy Arizona team with Mr. Murray at the helm. He can get it done, and then he can't get it done some days. Philly's quarterback just on fire right now. James doesn't think so. James, what's going on in your head right now with Philly's quarterback?
I think it's the same thing I said before is with Martinez. Let's calm it down a little bit. Eagles have had some easy games. They haven't really fought too hard. I mean, they're in a shootout with Detroit, so in the first game. And then so they played Washington, got 9 sacks. I'm like, you're on the field a lot. Anyway, they're on the field a lot. Jalen Hurts, I'm not taking anything away from him, and he's throwing it to wide open guys. Arizona's not going to let that happen. I think, like you said, a feisty Arizona team. I'm taking Arizona to give Philly their first loss this week. I'm not a Kyler Murray fan at all. I don't think he'll be in the league much longer, even to finish his contract. But I think he comes in to beat Jalen Hurts. He plays a really well game, and Arizona beats Philly.
I think Philly wins. I think Kyler Murray needs to find a coach that can build him up and deal with maybe his attitude. You got a grown man that's making millions of dollars, and you got a coach that's making millions of dollars, and they both think they're right. At some point, you have to compromise. I think Kyler Murray is at that point where he doesn't want to, because for him, it's a paycheck, but he still loves to win. I just don't think Arizona's a place for him. I think if there was, it happens all the time. You have Stafford that left the Lions, horrible winning record, goes to the Rams and wins a Super Bowl. Can Kyler Murray win a Super Bowl with somebody else? I mean, if you have enough things around him, look what Tampa Bay did when they brought in Tom Brady. Now, that's not what I'm saying. Kyler Murray is a Tom Brady. I'm not. I'm just saying if you get a better coach that builds him up, doesn't butt heads with him, and maybe it's the upper management that's doing it. I don't know. But I just don't think Arizona gets out of Philly with a win. I don't. I think Philly breaks them in 2.
Yeah. I say it stays close. I would take Arizona in the points. Whether they win, I don't know. I'd like to take Arizona too, but maybe not. But the Eagles, Jalen Hurts has played with the lead in every game.
Mm-hmm.
His defense has kept that lead for him. The Eagles have only scored 23 points in the second half all year long, and have only scored 9 in the fourth quarter.
When you get a lead, that does a lot for you, and your defense
it does. But I want to see what Jalen Hurts can do when he has to lead that comeback. When it's a 1-score game going into the fourth quarter with 5 minutes to go, and the other team just scores. Now it's Jalen Hurts. I mean, like I said, they've only scored 23 points in 4 games. That's less than 6 points in the second half. So let's just see what the Eagles can do when they get behind.
Piggyback what you were saying earlier, Kingsbury was brought in, and they grouped and drafted Kyler Murray because of his offense. Hey, my offense that I'm bringing in, Kyler Murray's perfect for it. I'm not saying, like you're saying, I don't know if it's the coaching not wanting to adjust to the quarterback or the quarterback not liking the plays that they're calling in. But yeah, there's got to be a compromise soon, because Kyler Murray's style of play doesn't resonate everywhere. So you're kind of limited as a quarterback if you're like, okay, I need off this team, or I need a new coach. That new coach come in might be a defensive coach. Then we got.
But we don't know. They've never aired their grievances. At the end of the last year, Kyler Murray wiped all of the Cardinal stuff off of his media platforms, they said, and he was trying to do everything he could to come out of that organization. So who got him mad? I mean, who kept him in there? We don't know. So is Cliff Kingsbury just young and he doesn't want to change, or is it the upper management that's telling Cliff this is what we have to do? Because again, it's a business, but it's a game, a business game, and you're dealing with millionaires that play that game and millionaires that coach that game, and everybody's always right all the time.
You have a first NFL quarterback and a first NFL head coach. It's his first team.
First 2 years.
Both learning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the process.
Okay. Zach, The head coach of Cincinnati Bengals is new. He got to the Super Bowl. Cliff Kingsbury was supposed to get them to the Super Bowl, but he didn't. So moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals at 2-2 and the Baltimore Ravens at 2-2. That's the 7:20 Sunday game. Ravens are favored by 3.
Cincy. I'll take Cincy. Baltimore's defense is terrible.
Exactly. So if this was the normal Baltimore Ravens we've seen the last 5, 7, 8 years, I would take Baltimore 5 out of 5 times, but it's not. That, especially the secondary, which now you have Joe Burrow throwing to his weapons. Yeah, granted, slow start to the season. And again, I think it's because Joe didn't play preseason. He missed a lot of practices. I take Cincinnati in a shootout. I mean, over-unders is 48. I say we go over, especially with Lamar. I can see a 35-30 easily, 38-31 game.
I don't know how Cincinnati wins. I think if the Nebraska Cornhusker College defense played, they'd be able to sack Burrow once. And James is laughing, and I say that because you have a team that led the league in sacks. Last year, they're currently leading the team in taking sacks again. I don't know how they've won 2 games so far. And you guys are taking the Bengals because the Ravens' defense sucks.
Well, Miami's defense wasn't good either, and Burrow was able to do enough to win that game. And I don't think the Ravens can do any better. I don't think the Ravens will pressure him. I think Burrows will have a great. I don't think it'll be close. Lamar Jackson didn't score a single point last week in the second half against the Bills. I know the Bills' defense is great, but I believe the Bengals' defense is really getting up there. They're a good defense. I think the Bengals win this game by 2 scores.
And Baltimore's only running game is Lamar Jackson.
Yes.
I'm sticking with the Bengals winning too with you guys. I don't know. This is kind of a gimme pick. You give me this team, okay, I take it. All right, you give me this team, I take it. I don't know. Ravens could win, Bengals could win, but I'm going to go with the Bengals.
Blowout.
Yeah. Yeah. Monday night game is Kansas City at home against the Raiders. Raiders are 1-3. Kansas City's 3-1. KC's favored by 7. I don't see Kansas City having any issues getting past the Raiders.
Yeah. And the only thing I look at this game, Monday Night Football gets it right when they make a division game on Monday night. RC Raiders did not look good. They blew that lead against Arizona. You're talking about, can Philly play? Arizona came back great in that game. Defense lockdown, blah, blah, blah. I think Raiders hold it close. They know each other. That's one thing with these two teams. They know each other really well. They play each other twice a year. So I see the Raiders hanging close, probably up until, mid-third, early fourth quarter, and then probably a turnover or something that makes it a bigger win than what it would be. But yeah, Kansas City, I think, not only wins the game, but I do think the Raiders keep it close just because of the division rivalry there.
No way. No. I think 7's low. I think KC breaks them in 2, and I take the overs. I think Josh McDaniels gets ran out of another town and doesn't come back for year 3. He might stay 2 years in Las Vegas as a head coach, but I don't know what it is.
Do you think he's fired before Ron Rivera?
That's a great question. Ron Rivera is head coach of Washington Commanders. Man. Yeah, actually I do. I do. I don't think Josh McDaniels has it for whatever reason. He's great with Belichick when they get their heads together. I just don't think Josh McDaniels has the right staff around him to make him look any better.
Chiefs win. I think Chiefs win. Chiefs. I think they cover. I think they win. They hung up 41 points against the Buccaneers. I think the Chiefs offense is clicking. I think they'll win 35-21, maybe 35-21.
Back to what you were saying, Josh McDaniels I'm guessing is you're on the same page with me. I said the same thing when they hired him. He's North Turner. He's Zampese. I can be a coordinator. I can't do all of it. I can't surround myself with the right staff, with the right guys on the right thing, game plan, and head coach. Something, some people just don't have it. But North Turner always was a great offensive coordinator. Zampese, always in there. Wilson, great defensive coordinator. When he went to Denver, win the championship with Peyton Manning, he can be a defensive coordinator, just couldn't be a head coach. And that's, I think McDaniels definitely falls in that. When he gets out of the Raiders, when they let him go, he'll become another coordinator. But I think he rides that out maybe another 5-7 years before another team gives him another shot.
Yeah, that could be. All right. I lied to all of our listeners out there. I said we're going to breeze through our college lineup today so we could focus on the playoffs, and we've rambled on for about 40 minutes or so. Baseball, new wild card lineup. They went to a 3-game series. James and Roger have talked about this at length while we weren't recording and how Roger doesn't like it. But Roger is a purist when it comes to how things go with baseball and appreciates the history of it and how they used to play it. And it's not baseball. I don't know. I go back and forth. A new wild card lineup. You have 3-game series. It feels like real baseball instead of a 1-game winner take all. That's not baseball. During the season, you don't have any 1-game winner takes all. That being said, we have a trivia question. We will reveal the answer here at the end. The question is, what was the last team to repeat as World Series champions? And Roger, I'm going to ask you. I've asked you before, do the Atlanta Braves have a chance to repeat?
Well, I know you asked me this last week, and I said I don't think they do, but I tell you, their bullpen is just clicking. And Kenley Jensen is their closer, is pitching well. That being said, I'm still going to stick with it. I think it's too tough to repeat. They got a lot of teams. I mean, if they have to play the Mets again or the Dodgers, and then if they get to the World Series, which I believe it'll be against the Astros, I think the Astros make the World Series in the American League fairly easy.
But your Braves just swept the Mets.
They did.
That was the last series to close out the regular season.
Yeah, they actually beat the Mets 6 out of 7 times in the last 7 games.
And they both have 101 wins.
Yes.
The Astros have 106 and the Dodgers have 111 wins.
So, I like I like the Braves' chances. I really do.
They lead the National League in home runs this year.
Yeah.
Are they a dynasty? I mean, are they building a dynasty? Are they there? Did they get younger and better by trading Freeman away?
No. They didn't get better trading Freeman away. Freeman he's good.
He's going to win another ring with the Dodgers.
Yeah, he's leading the league in hits. I think he's second in average. They didn't get better trading him away. Now, are they playing as good without him? They are. Olson's not better than Freeman, but Michael Harris, Vaughn Grissom, they're young studs. They're doing good. They're doing really good.
Yeah, this new format that they started this year rewards the teams with a bye, helps them rest their pitchers, gives them a leg up. Some people think, in my mind, it might make them rusty.
All right, so you look at baseball, who gets hot win, right? And finishing the season, you have Cleveland, Tampa Bay starting off. Tampa Bay's 2-8, Cleveland 7-3 in the last 10 games. But the only thing I don't like about that is who played when and did they play all their guys after they clinched? You know what I'm saying? So Yankees pushed. They were already locked up. Stroh's already locked up. Astros, another team that finished out strong. Their pitching staff is really good. But to me, I think Tampa beats Cleveland. Right now, Cleveland 7-3 finished the season. Tampa Bay was 2-8. I don't think it's a matter of who's hot right now. I think Tampa Bay's pitching's really good. I think they take 2 out of 3 in that series.
Tampa Bay Rays versus Cleveland Guardians is Friday's 11:07 starting game. Cleveland's favored by 1.5, but you're saying Tampa Bay takes the whole series.
I do. Yep. They don't score a lot of runs, but when they're pitching, is that really good? One of the best in the American League, if not all of MLB. Yeah, I think Cleveland struggles.
Timeout for a little bit of media talk. Within the last 10 days, a major satellite provider of programming blacked out a set of programming that is owned by Disney. So if you had Dish, you couldn't watch any ABC local channel programming, you couldn't watch any Disney programming, and you couldn't watch any of the ESPN games.
Fact.
And now Major League Baseball playoffs are starting this week, and miraculously, that blackout by Dish lasted a really short time.
Money, money, money.
Yeah, I think that's interesting that they did that blackout 10 days before MLB started to show them that we do have power and we'll use it against you. Okay.
Is any of the games in postseason baseball airing on ESPN?
Almost all of them.
Yeah, especially these early first rounds. Yeah.
And that's why
I thought, usually TBS.
Yeah.
Or TNT will pick some up.
Right.
And then Fox Sports.
Yeah.
So I guess I didn't know exactly what programs were picking up these games.
Yeah. Tampa Bay is on ESPN against Cleveland Guardians at 11:07, and then the next game on Friday, the 1:07 start is on ABC. Phillies against St. Louis. That one's even. That one's completely even.
They're both 4-6. Finished the season 4-6. You have Pujols, who could be one of the hottest hitters at an old age, finishing out the season and coming right into this Phils thing. Yeah, we don't have to pick, right? I got nothing. This game, I think it goes all the whole series, and wow.
I'm not even picking baseball. I'm leaving that up to you guys. I'm bowing out of picking any MLB. You guys are the pros when it comes to watching baseball. I watch it. I just not as much as you guys. I'm not invested in any team. So St. Louis is hot. Pujols is just a monster. Had a monster career.
If I had to, I'd take Cards. If I was going to pick a team in this series, and that's mainly because Philly can't beat the Cubs. Can't beat them all year long. And if you can't beat the Cubs this year, yeah, you're not going to beat the Cardinals.
We have a 7:07 game, Seattle Mariners against the Toronto Blue Jays. The overs are set at 7. Toronto's favored by a score and a half. Seattle has a distinction of being one of the last teams that won 100+ games and didn't win it all. Why do I bring that up? Well, we have four teams that are at the 100+ mark. I mentioned Dodgers at 111, Astros at 106. So they're on the opposite side of that. They haven't won 100 games. They're in the wild card series. They're playing hot. Do they continue on and play or not? What do you think, Raj?
I don't know exactly where Seattle's sitting health-wise. Is that Julio Rodriguez back playing? Their young stud.
He is really good. I like him.
Yeah. I like Toronto in this one. I do.
Right.
They just, I think they play in the tougher, the tougher bracket, the tougher division, with the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Baltimore Orioles and Toronto had the better record. I think they get it done. I think Toronto moves on.
I think Toronto scores runs. They have a credible lineup. Their pitching's not great. Seattle's is decent, but Seattle's not scoring this year. They don't have a whole lot of weapons in the lineup like Toronto does. And Toronto will manufacture a run, or they're going to get you a 6 spot in an inning. So either way, yeah, I definitely take Toronto in this series easily.
Roger, who'd you ask if you were wondering who was healthy?
Julio Rodriguez.
I'm looking at a full injury report, and his name isn't even listed for the Toronto Blue Jays.
No, for the Seattle Mariners.
Oh, I apologize, Seattle Mariners. See, that's why I let you guys talk about baseball. I don't claim to know anything about it. I don't.
I believe they're missing that Haniger too. Seattle's.
Sam Haggerty, the right fielder, is on the 10-day IL with a groin injury, and then I don't see
Rodriguez. He might be back then.
I'm guessing Rodriguez is back because he's
Yep.
not on there. Okay. Padres and Mets also at 1.5 for the Mets. The overs on that one are at 6, and they're in New York coming off a sweep from Rogers' Atlanta Braves.
Both 5-5 again. So National League got both teams 6-4. Now this one's both 5-5 coming off to end the season. And yes, so if I'm looking at the Mets lost tough game, division game got swept by the Braves. And then the Padres is that mystery team. To me, it's like the Detroit Lions. You have this talent. You have so much skills on their positions. Their best player is obviously suspended, so he won't even be in the game. It's hard not to go against the Mets after seeing their, like, you said a few times, Roger, their starting pitching is amazing. So,
yeah, this series is about the pitching, and there is some pretty good pitching matchups. The Padres got Darvish, they got Blake Snell. It's
Some people have said this could be potentially one of the best MLB playoffs in recent history. And
I believe because of the pitching.
Yeah.
I think this whole postseason is about the pitching. We have a lot of pitchers that are getting up there in age. We got Wainwright for the Cardinals, Kershaw, he's in his mid-30s, Verlander, Max Scherzer. I mean, it might be, they might say, hey, it's do or die this year. I might be done after this year. So, yeah, I believe it's the year of the pitching. I think the Mets get it done against the Padres, but Josh Hader, a guy that they traded for, who was very good with the Milwaukee Brewers, he goes over to the Padres and just falls apart. But the last few weeks to end the year, the end of the year in the regular season, Josh Hader was pitching very good. So 2 weeks ago, I would have said the Mets would sweep these guys, but Padres are playing better, so it'll be interesting. I still like the Mets.
I'm surprised that the Padres didn't do better during the whole season. They supposedly had all the right tools to challenge the Dodgers for one of the best records, but they're just getting in on the wild card. But again, it's who's playing hot at the playoffs time. So Padres and Mets. James, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think the pitching matchups, and not to take anything away from the pitchers, but hitting is terrible. I mean, you don't have a classic half the league batting over 300, so the pitching is definitely dominated. I think it goes into the postseason because as you see these teams that live and die by the home run, i.e. the Yankees last year, man, if we don't hit a dinger, you don't win. And these pitchers keep you in the yard, you lose games. So, yeah, I think Mets and Padres another one. Not that they rely on the long ball, but they need those big hits. And I think Mets keeps them in the field and takes it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a sweep.
October. I love this time of year. Playoff baseball, when I actually start watching baseball, I'll admit it, I don't pay a whole lot of attention. I know this has been an exciting year because Judge was chasing Roger Maris's record. You have preseason basketball, which is very interesting. Draymond Green just punched one of his players, allegedly. You have Blake Griffin coming over to the Celtics. You have preseason games in Abu Dhabi. You have preseason NBA games in Japan. You have preseason NBA games where the NBA team thinks they're just going to go over a national team and then they get rolled. You have college football. You have college soccer. You have
Volleyball.
Preseason hockey. You have college volleyball. You have college softball. You have all of these things going on right now. You have college baseball. You pick a sport and they're playing. You have golf. And what better time to be alive than in October and watch sports?
Mm-hmm. Loving it.
All right. Any parting thoughts, James?
I do. Speaking of the Astros, who I believe is going to win it all, just on a side note.
He's jumping on Roger's bandwagon. He just said the same thing.
Jason Verlander, 39 years old.
Justin Verlander.
Thank you. Justin Verlander. Jason, I don't even know where I got that. Justin Verlander, 39. Just pitched his last game, to end the season. Had a no-hitter. They combined no-hitter into the ninth, and they got broken up. But pitched a no-hitter, 39 years old. Leads the team with a 1.7 ERA. At 39 years old in the league.
Just come off Tommy John surgery.
Not a power pitcher.
You don't have to be a power pitcher.
I agree.
Look what Mariano Rivera did for the end of his career with the Yankees. He wasn't a power pitcher, but nobody could hit him.
Right. This goes back to the pitching. Guys that get older, like, oh, maybe I have to pitch. And he does that. So now ERA 1.74, 18-4 this year through 28 games, right? His career average ERA, 3.24. Talk about better with age. Not saying Tom Brady level, but this is almost Tom Brady level. If you're looking at a 1.75 ERA, last 3 games, 1.3, 3-1. I don't know how you're losing when he's only given up 1 run, averaging 9 strikeouts per game, per 9 innings. A strikeout an inning at 39 years old when supposedly power pitching has, my whole thing is power pitching supposedly he's taking over the game. Everybody's throwing 97, 98. Oh, you got to have these guys throwing it down their sinkers at 99 miles an hour. I don't see it. I think Verlander should get Cy Young. Not sure. There's some really tough competition, but especially in the National League. Not as much in the American League, but especially in the National League. Sorry, in the American League, he's going to have some competition over there. But to me, Verlander at 39 years old showed all these guys you can pitch if you actually pitch.
Yes.
Roger, parting thoughts.
Yeah, I go into that too. I mean, if you got these guys, hitters that want to swing for the fence, hit home runs, off-speed pitching is where it's at. I mean, they're sitting back looking for, something to hit, and then they, you throw them a 89-mile-an-hour changeup, they swing out in front of it, or they pop it up or drill it into the ground, or
pitching. Watching Judge try to get to 62, they had him so frustrated, and how they frustrated him was not by throwing strikes; they'd walk him, and the coaches realized that frustrated him because he was chasing that record, and he was just like, oh, he had some control, not swinging wildly at some stuff at times. He did swing at some stuff just to try to get it out there, but the teams that played him did a great job of frustrating him by walking him a couple times, 2 or 3 times, and then maybe pitching to him.
And they didn't do the traditional walk. And that's what he said frustrated, where he said he got kind of caught up. He goes, it wasn't like they intentionally walked me. He said, I was trying to figure out if they were trying to pitch around me. So I'm standing up there, and he said, the first couple pitches, okay, they're going to walk me. And then they throw a strike. Okay, now I'm on my toes, and then another ball close, and he, like you said, then he starts swinging wildly because I'm like, he goes, I didn't know if they were going to pitch around me, and I'll take the walk. But then they'd sneak a strike in there, and he's like, oh, maybe they're not. And now he's out in front because he wants to get that record, and that's what screwed him. To me, as a Yankee fan, watching him all year, he got home runs by not even trying. His swing is that good. It's not like Stanton. Stanton's all or none. Side note, Judge, if he would have just relaxed and said, if it hits it, it hits it. If not, I still want to hit the ball, put the ball in play. And I think especially at home, that crowd behind him, he's like, oh yeah, I got to do it. I got to do it. And it hurt.
All right, folks, we have a wonderful lineup of sports this entire weekend. Starting tonight with the Thursday night NFL game, we have some college games. We have volleyball on Thursday as well. Tonight on BTN against Michigan State. Saturday volleyball, number 24, Michigan at 6 p.m. Lots of college football and lots of NFL football, and a fun time for baseball if you're a fan of baseball. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Darrell here in our bedroom studio in the middle of the armpit of Nebraska, United States.
See ya.
Goodbye, people.